Yeah, good for you. High five.
But why?
So today we have quite a serious topic that we want to talk about. Basically what we want to talk about is what it's like being Asian and living in South Africa. If you're sensitive and you're going to be offended from what we're going to say, then I suggest you cut this video right now. But if you want some light-hearted educational information, then continue to watch. And basically what we want to speak about is Asians in general, anyone that's Oriental looking. You could be Korean, Japanese, Chinese, Taiwanese, Filipino, Thai. But I feel like if you're Oriental looking, this kind of applies to you, what we're going to say, because I feel like most people just assume you're Chinese, even if you're Japanese or Korean, right?
Yeah, they are Chinese.
We already have a list of questions and things that we wanted to talk about. There's 6 things in total.
Mary just wrote down like a few, but of these questions, but we actually haven't spoken about the topic. So I actually don't even know what her experiences have been, and I'm actually quite excited to sort of find out. Just interested in knowing how your life was
growing up. Yeah, and how your life was growing up as well. So let's get started.
Question 1.
What was it like when you first started school here in South Africa, and what was the first racial encounter?
Who's gonna go first?
Do you want to go?
I'll just go, because literally when she asked me this question, it was like in my mind, it was literally probably, I don't exactly know, in primary school. I went to Stepping Stones, and we're all like little kids, you know, by the jungle gym, and literally my mum would make me like lunch. And the one day, I'll never forget this, I was quite sad, and I still remember who it was. Got my lunch and I opened it up, and then my little snack was seaweed. Yeah. And I loved it, and it's really tasty, and now you see it all over the market and Woolies and stuff. I was eating it, and then my friends came over, and they're like white people and Indian people and all mixed races, because you know
South Africa's just a mixed bunch.
Mixed bunch. So she comes like, what's that stuff? That green looking black stuff. And I was like, oh, it's seaweed, you want to try? It's really tasty. So she eats it, and then she goes, that's disgusting. And then she stood on it, and she snapped, like, just like, you know, stood on it, and
I was like, disgusting.
I just looked at her and I was like, but it's tasty, but okay. Like, I felt like distraught at that moment, and I'll always remember that feeling, and I wanted to cry because it was my Asian food, you know, and I really liked the snack.
But did she tease you about the fact that it was Asian and stuff afterwards?
No, yeah, she did. So then I felt like really embarrassed about my upbringing and my Chinese snacks.
Me too, I also felt that way for a little bit.
Yeah, and I was just like, okay, clearly this is not what I'm supposed to be eating, this is shit. I went back home, and I think I also spoke to my mom, and I think I cried a little bit about my Chinese snack. So that was my memory, and I'll never forget about it.
Yeah. Well, actually, I had a really bad primary school experience compared to high school. Because I feel like primary school, obviously it was much further back then. Well, my first schooling experience was primary school, right? So I'm not even joking. Like, I feel like being Asian, like Oriental or Chinese, you're probably the most teased race just because you're Asian.
Just because you're different.
Yeah, just because you're Asian. It's not like, do you know, you never go to like a black person or an Indian person or like a white person and tease them about being white, black, Indian, or whatever it is. But for some reason, people think it's okay to like taunt an Asian person purely for being Asian. Like, tell me I'm stupid, or tell me that I dress funny, but like you teasing me because of my ethnicity.
Exactly.
Can I help that? Like, you know, I had a really bad primary school experience because there's this guy, and I'm not gonna mention his name. I will never forget. I can forgive, but I can't forget this, because he literally taunted me like throughout primary school with the constant teasing, the name calling, like pulling funny faces, ching chong ties, and the fong kong, the name stuff. Like they even had a rhyme for me, because my name's Mary Lou. So they'll say things like Mary Lou had a poo in the zoo. I will never fucking forget it, like ever. And
it's really shit.
It was like throughout primary school, like throughout. It was like constant taunting, and the teachers did nothing about it. I don't even think they cared really, because
they just think it's child's play, and
exactly. Even though children are probably the most disgusting.
Well, the thing is that they're the most pure, but why are they affected?
I feel that they learn it obviously from somewhere. Yeah, it's like no one brings up and be like, oh, you're Asian.
Because
like no one
when
does
you're
that.
born,
Someone must have taught them.
They must have seen something or learned from somewhere else. It's the same thing about swearing or whatever. You learn from people.
And so that was my primary school experience, and I was taunted for like the whole of primary school. And do you know what the funny thing is? That same guy that taunted me, I didn't see him again after primary school because we never went to the same high school. But
why are you smiling like that?
You'll see now, because I believe in karma. Seriously, I do. So I went to University of Cape Town. And I went there after high school, obviously, to study. We had orientation for the first week, so it's called O week. And then basically, like, you get someone that takes you around the campus, shows you where things are, and then at night there's parties, and then there's like game nights and all that stuff. So it's really cool.
What happened?
Out of all places, I could have bumped into this guy. I mean, I've never saw him since primary school. I literally bumped into him on upper campus during O week.
Okay. And
I could never forget his face. Like, he came up to me as if like we were friends. We were not friends. He taunted me. I was like a victim, my friend. Like, he came up to me as if nothing happened. And he was like, oh, it's just so good to see you. Like, as if he's like the best, now the nicest person. Look, you may very well grow up to be the nicest person, but I cannot forget what you did to me.
Do you think he's forgotten?
Definitely not, because we didn't leave on like good terms. And then, and he proceeded to ask for my number. And like saying that we should hang out. I definitely did not give him my number. And I don't want to hang out with him. No, thank you.
Everything that you said before though, like literally with the eyes, I think it's just a thing. Like, there was a thing called Chinese, Japanese, Portuguese, money please.
Yes, I also remember that.
I don't know why that started or how it started, but everyone used to do that. Chinese, Japanese, Portuguese, money please. I'm just like, are you asking me for money? What? I'm confused, but yeah, people used to do that. So the art thing, and so we basically didn't.
We had the same experience there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Primary school experience. Next,
second one. How did you deal with it versus how would you deal with it now?
So after that sort of an experience, it's really bad. So what I did was I never bought Chinese food or anything of that sort ever again, and I always packed my own lunches from primary school. So sandwiches and just the usual things,
normal
apples,
stuff.
And, normal what lunch should be, instead of something oriental, which everyone loves now. People are going for maybe sushi and all of that. I stopped bringing Asian snacks, Asian anything, because I didn't want to be associated with it, because it was embarrassing and people laughed at me for it. So I felt like I don't want to be part of it, and I wanted to just throw that side of me away. So that's what happened during primary school.
Yeah.
Whereas now that I'm older, I appreciate and I enjoy being an Asian person, and I love being the person that I am now. So if I could go back then, or to tell myself, the young Angela then, you continue eating your seaweed and chow whatever you want and enjoy your food, and don't be embarrassed
of who you are.
And your upbringing.
Exactly.
So basically that was it.
I had the same experience actually, and I'm so sad that I experienced this, but this wasn't only primary school, it was also part of high school as well, where I completely tried to disregard the fact that I was Asian and that I'm Oriental, and I had like different cultural upbringings and stuff. Like, I hated when people used to call me by my Chinese name, and you know, like, I wouldn't really eat Chinese food when I went out with my friends. I never used to talk about my culture or speak my own language. I remember when my parents used to call me, like, I used to like run off somewhere else and speak to them on the phone because I didn't want them hearing that I was speaking a different language. Now I'm like, bitch, I'm bilingual. Yeah, that was how I kind of dealt with it. But then I am quite feisty. Like, I do lash back because I am a very opinionated person. So back then, like, I remember when I used to get teased and laughed at, I would start telling them to shut up. Like, that was the only comeback that I had. Like, now versus now, I think I would have given them a proper education. And like, and being like, to be honest, like, you can say whatever the hell you want, but I'm so comfortable in my own skin, and I'm so proud to be Asian. You know, I'm so proud that I can speak a different language other than English. You know, I definitely would have not disregarded my culture the way I did.
Same.
And be embarrassed about it, because there was nothing to be embarrassed about. And now I stand tall being Asian, actually.
Exactly.
As opposed to before, I used to like cower at the thought that I was Asian. That was so sad.
It is sad thinking about it now. I was thinking about these things until
I would never want my kids to go through this, ever.
I don't think it will happen nowadays.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
actually, well, yeah.
let's go to the next question.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, there's something else that I wanted to add in my primary school.
Yeah.
So I was literally the only Asian girl, so grade 1 to grade 7 in that school.
Oh, me too.
Were you the only one as well?
No, but I was the only Asian from primary school and all the way to the end of high school.
Okay, no, I had like, in high school there were, because I changed schools,
Yeah.
there were other Asian people, but
Okay.
these were less. But literally in primary school, the only Asian girl, and there was only one Asian guy, and then they just think, because you're Asian, you should be together.
Oh, it's one of those.
Yeah. Anyways, just thought of that. Okay, next
So,
question.
the third one. What was it being like brought up as an Asian in South Africa? Like, with your family and stuff?
You go first.
Okay. Well, I still had like a lot of traditional Asian values. My parents were really strict. My dad especially wanted me to do really well at school. So did my mom, but my dad was more scary about it. They didn't force me to play a musical instrument or anything, but like I did try my hand at like every extramural activity that I could.
Okay.
Like netball, hockey, and ballet, and whatever else little girls did. Yeah, so I had Asian values, and my parents were Asian parents, so they were strict. I couldn't go out to a lot of places where my friends could, and go out till late, go out with boys, sleepovers. That was like...
Is this like all primary school and then high school?
Well, primary school I could, but it was like a friend... I actually met up with her in London. I don't know if you saw my Instagram.
Oh, yes.
So that was my first friend, and she's Polish. And then like my parents obviously knew her parents, and her parents knew my parents, and her parents are immigrants as well.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, so I feel like that as well added to the fact that it made them more accepting the fact that we're different and I was foreign. Because they were immigrants themselves. I could sleep over and do all that stuff at her house, but my dad obviously became stricter later in high school, especially like with sleepovers and boys and all that stuff. I think very normal Asian upbringing, except that there's a Western element to it. Like, I mean, I could go to parties, maybe not till very late like everyone else, but I think like they were still like a little bit more relaxed. Yeah, still very Asian.
I think mine's like sort of similar but slightly different.
How?
So it's similar in the sense that, okay, in general, Chinese or Asian people want their kids to do well, but my mom was like, I was the one putting pressure on myself. So I came with my marks, I think it was in grade 7 or 8, and then I did like 70 something, which is a B, which is not too bad, but I was like, oh, I only did a B. And then she's like, oh, that's very good, very excellent. Like, she's actually like, well done for a B. And I'm like, oh, but like, all the other people, like Asians, are supposed to get A's. It's like, oh, it's okay, just pass. And so I'm like, okay, so that's different. So in the sense that she never pushed me to have to get an A, but I ended up pushing myself because I would like to get better marks.
Yeah.
And then in terms of...
So the Asian blood is strong.
Yeah, I think so. And then the musical instrument side, literally I feel like most Asians have played a musical instrument. So I did piano. From a very young age, and then I played the violin afterwards. My little sister also did. My older sister also played the piano. I was in choir. I did all sorts of extramural activities, but more for me it wasn't as sporty. It was just dancing, ballet, tap, Spanish, modern, Chinese dancing. And then so in terms of that, another thing though was as much as my mom didn't force me to get like A's, she gave me like tutors. Tutors would come to my house.
Oh yeah, I also had that. Yeah, I had to go for like extra maths. Yeah, for me it was maths. Maths and science. I had to get extra. Yeah, that is so Asian.
I think it is.
Yeah,
maths and English were my main, and then afterwards I think I needed a bit of help. And then there was something called Kumon maths. At one stage I went to them. I don't know if you know what they are. They're like little, like a little. Sort of not a school vibe, but after school, where you go there and you do all these maths works and of all different grades.
Oh, okay.
So it's also like tuition in a way.
Yeah. So this is an interesting one because, like, how did your parents react to you being teased about being Asian, or like, did your parents experience this type of racial discrimination themselves? Because like, for me, I remember when I was little, and I used to be taunted about like being Asian, and then if my parents were present, I used to tell those kids to shut up, obviously, and then my dad will tell me not to be rude to other people, because like, you know that being Asian, like, you're an immigrant, so you're like passive and you shouldn't cause anything and be rude to like the locals, even though they're like discriminating against you and taunting you and stuff. So like, even when we walked in shopping malls and stuff, and then we were Asian, Like sometimes even with like my parents there, they will still be like, oh, Chinese, blah blah, like King Ching Chong Cha, or
Oh my
some
god,
stupid
that
dumb
one, I was
shit.
about to say that.
Like Kung Fu, it's like, you know,
Yeah.
like how did your parents react to it?
It's kind of exactly the same as you, being polite and
You see?
basically keeping their mouths shut and not saying anything
Yeah.
and looking at you, just be like, oh, just like
Leave
brush
them.
it away, basically.
Yeah,
like, I
ignore
was like,
them.
oh my gosh, yeah, let's just go.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and then even in school, exactly the same thing. I tell my mom or my father and all of that, and nothing really. It's
Yeah.
just brush it away and pretend that you've never heard these things and just ignore it because
Yeah.
we're minority, so just keep quiet, basically.
Yeah, and I feel like it's general, the general sense about being Asian is that you're passive and you don't lash back. And I
It's
feel like
not
that
entirely true. It's just that that's a generalization. Yeah.
Yeah, but then I mean I feel like that's how it was. That's why this whole Asian discrimination thing only came about recently on social media and stuff, because Asians are no longer keeping quiet and being passive, especially our generation. Definitely not. Maybe it's okay for my parents to keep quiet about it, but definitely not anymore for me.
Same, exactly.
So, number 4, how have things changed in South Africa?
Well, I think there's less racial discrimination, or maybe I'm just older and I don't see it as often, and people don't really approach me and do that anymore. But there is still, you know, there's another question that I wanted to like speak about is sometimes maybe they're just really curious and they want to get to know you, but the way they approach, the way they say these things are not nice. It's negative. It's like ching chong cha, kung fu, whatever you said.
No, that's downright rude. That's
rude.
Complete, like
Some people think it's so cool, like kung fu, you know, sort of thing. Like
yeah, but that's not
karate.
That's not a curiosity thing. That's making fun.
It's making fun, but some people are actually interested.
If you're interested, you can come up to me passively and ask me and be like, oh, so I'm really interested in Kung Fu, so where do you know where I can do this, or you know, on that kind of serious note, but not like doing funny hand signals and calling names and stuff, not in public, because then you're making fun and you deserve to know nothing, my friend.
But otherwise, I think these days a lot of people actually want to learn the language. So I know that a lot of people will be like ni hao, and I'm like ni hao, and then it's actually share. It's like, or what's it? Arigato, and I was like, oh, that's Japanese. It's slightly different, just to educate.
But I do feel that the times have changed because of not only globalization, but also the fact that China has risen to a superpower.
Yeah.
So obviously there's more education on the Chinese culture and the food,
even
etc.
the language Mandarin. I think in some schools it's actually a part of the curriculum now.
Yes, I think people would want their kids to learn Mandarin because they believe that in however many years time Mandarin will probably be the #1 spoken language in the world.
Yeah.
If not already.
I read an article in university, and it was, I can remember that time it was English and Mandarin was on there, French and Spanish. Those languages were the top. At that point in time.
Look, I do feel that Asians in general, like Asian culture and food and stuff, have been more accepted in South Africa. We've come a long way from in our primary school experiences to now, where obviously I don't really see that the public outbursts of the teasing as much anymore. But I mean, like, to be honest, I mean, 10 years later, are you still teasing me about me being Asian? Like, grow the fuck up.
Yeah,
like, seriously.
then you're just not educated
No,
enough.
then you're like a moron. Then like you shouldn't be here. Seriously. But I think there's come a long way.
A lot of change. There's a lot of Asian restaurants popping all over. Even Korean restaurants, Japanese restaurants. A lot of places with sushi all over.
Now it's the cool thing.
It's like sushi. Everyone wants sushi.
Yeah, and it's like the cool thing now to be able to use chopsticks and eat sushi and stuff. Because I remember back in the day, because I was so skinny as well when I was in primary school and high school.
Yeah.
Like people used to call me chopsticks. I know, right? And now I'm like, I'm glad I was that skinny.
Chopsticks legs.
I'm glad. Thank you.
Yes, that's a compliment. Thank you.
That's a compliment now.
So that's sort of, it's much better than before. Maybe because we're older as well, so we will stand up for ourselves if someone comes by and tunes us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is so South African what you said now.
Tune you.
And do you know what's the saddest thing? I feel that, like, I'm South African. Like, I see myself as South African, but the saddest part is that I really don't think South Africans think I'm South African. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like I'm definitely more South African than
they'll always
Asian.
ask you where
They'll
you're
always,
from.
yeah, they'll always think you're a foreigner, or they'll
Like,
just think,
but where are you really from?
yeah, they love that question. It's like you don't go to a white person and be like, you'd be like, oh, where are you from? You'd be like, oh, I'm South African.
Oh,
You're like, no, where are you really from? It's like, well, my great-great-grandfather was from Britain and whatever. You don't say that.
French blood or blah blah blah.
Yeah, exactly.
So
So
don't
what,
really dive into it. No.
what makes you think it's okay to do it to Asians? Like, when I tell you I'm South African, I'm South African. I'm from here.
But if you are curious to know, then I don't mind, because most of the time I'll tell them like my background,
Yeah.
and they'll find out that I'm really South African.
Yeah. Well, I used to, just to cut the conversation short, I used to just be like, oh no, my parents are from China. Like, before they even get to say, but where are you really from? Like, I used to just, I don't want to talk about it. I'm like, my parents are from China.
I think I end up telling them the whole story.
Yeah, I'm not that
That's just how I am, I guess. Yeah.
Okay.
So what's the next question?
Number 5. What was your most recent racial incident?
Okay, I thought about it when you asked me. I couldn't think about it, but then I just remembered. It was one of, I think it was last year or the year before. I was in Durban just visiting my family, and then we went out to a shopping mall, Gateway Mall. We're walking around there, and then there was this, I was gonna say the race, Indian person with his son with him, like a young little boy, and they're walking around hand in hand, and then as I walk past him, he smiles, and then he says some sort of a racial comment about ching chong cha and stuff, and I'm like, and I looked at him shocked, and I was like, who still does that? I was like, you with your son, who's like probably 5 or 6, or I don't know how old he is. You're an adult. Out of all places, this is a mall. Why are you making those racial comments? So I just went, sorry that you're not educated, I'm not very sorry for your child, and then I walked off.
Yeah, good for you, high five.
But why are you doing that in front of your child? That's how they learn, because they're not exposed to these things.
Exactly.
Besides from maybe their parents.
Yeah, 100%.
So that's what happened.
That's disgusting.
Yeah.
So, well, the most recent one that I can remember that's like vividly, well, I'll never forget. I was at Winex. I don't think it was last year, but I do think it was the year before.
Okay.
And I don't think I was here for the one last year, but it's definitely in the last 2 years or so. I was at Winex, and you know, now there's a lot more Asians, especially Chinese companies that's in Joburg, so there's quite a lot of Chinese people or Asians in general that's around, like Koreans, Japanese and whatever. So that specific night that I went to for Winex, there was quite a few Oriental people. I went with my fiance at that time and minding our own business with some friends who are, by the way, like mixed races. Like, I don't only hang out with Asian people. I was waiting, I remember, like, because there's different wine stalls where you do wine tasting, right?
Yeah.
And then I was standing by the one, and I had my wine glass, and I was listening to what the lady or the guy was saying about their wines and where they came from and the soil, etc. There was and this is an elderly couple. I'm talking about like 70s or 80 even.
Okay.
Like definitely in the range of more than 65, I would say, like elderly. So it was an elderly couple, and obviously they didn't, because I was facing the other way and they were behind me, they were facing the back of my head, they didn't know that I was Asian.
Oh yeah, sometimes you can't tell.
Yeah. Especially because my hair was like highlighted at that time. Was it he or she, the husband and wife, one of them said to the other, oh, there's so many like Asians or Chinese people around here. And then the other one replied and said, yeah, I know, they're like insects, they're everywhere now.
Oh my goodness gracious.
I know. And I
That's
literally whipped my head back, I turned around and I just looked at it dead in the eye. I'm like, excuse me? And then like they shut up and they walked off. They didn't say anything.
That's really bad.
No, that is really bad.
Everyone's just human, we're all human, we just...
Exactly that. And I just found it shocking because...
Hectic.
Like, you wouldn't think elderly people, like you look at them and be like, oh, they're all passive looking and they're really nice and whatever.
So sweet.
But not really.
That's really... well, I don't know what I would ever say.
I mean, it was a white couple, by the way.
I'm disappointed.
Like, I was genuinely shocked, which is why I didn't say more. But I was so shocked, I was just like, excuse me? Like, you know, did I hear wrong? Or I just like looked at them. And then like they obviously walked off. But I mean, I don't know if they were younger, I don't know, maybe I would have hit them. It's like, I don't hit old people. But if you're racist, I might. It's just like, it makes me sad to think that just because we're a minority, and by the way, we're not that minority in here, we make up 2% of the population. according to Wikipedia, by the way. I don't know how true that is, but I don't think they'll put like complete lies on there. Yeah, there's like 1.2 million Asians living in South Africa, and we face this kind of stuff like every day, almost on the daily. Let's look at the last thing that's on our list is bashing stereotypes. So can you name a few like Asian stereotypes that we can talk about it now?
Chinese eats dogs and cats.
Is it true?
It's not true. I've never ever touched a cat or a dog. It really depends on your upbringing. You have Buddy, your doggy. You never eat him.
No, I wouldn't eat dogs in general.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's just also your upbringing. Like whatever you were brought up with, you think that's normal for you.
So for them, that people that do eat dogs and cats, maybe it is normal for them. Or in their
it was in their upbringing or culture or whatever it is.
No,
well, I know very small cities, like very small towns and stuff in China and also parts of Korea, they still do serve dog meat.
Yeah.
But then they've been doing it for centuries. Guys, it's not even oh, we decided last night that we're gonna start eating dogs from now on. It wasn't like that. They were brought up that way.
Yeah.
So I feel
not to say that I agree with it though.
Yeah, I just think it's really rich for one person to bash another's culture when they know nothing about it, you know?
Yeah.
Like I won't do it myself, but yeah, I just think it's really sad when people come up to you and you're like, oh, you're Asian, you probably eat dogs and cats. It's just.
No, I've never.
Like, you have no idea what an animal lover I am. I'm like genuinely offended when you ask me that.
Yeah.
You know, I can think of actually other disgusting things that like other races eat, but I won't even get into that. Oh, all Asians look like this. What do you think?
Not all Asians look like this.
Where did they even get it from? I don't understand.
Because we do have, I think Oriental people do have slightly inclined like eyes, but it doesn't mean that we're like this.
Yeah, it doesn't mean that all the Asians
it's like Catwoman. Looks like you've done like a lot of Botox or something.
I mean, I feel like I've got bigger eyes than some other races, that some other people that I've looked at.
Yeah.
You know?
You do. When I smile, I get small eyes, so.
But everyone gets small eyes when they smile. Alrighty, so this is all the time we have for today's discussion on what's it like being Asian living in South Africa. So if you like this type of topic, or you have something to say, or you want to share your own personal experiences with us, or even if you have questions for us, comment below and let us know.
Let us know. I'd love to know about your stories.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter if you're from South Africa or not, whether you're from the States or, you know, from Europe, anywhere, Australia, comment below, let us know what you think, and follow us on social media. I'll put all the links at the bottom below. So till next time.